third year now entering as the Memphis head basketball coach. You made the All-Star team 4 times in 14 years in the NBA, a gold medal winner, a National High School Player of the Year in 1990. And Penny is now joining us. First of all, thank you and congratulations on getting the job. It's very rare that a star player gets into coaching and succeeds. You have a winning record, so good for you. Congratulations.
Now, first, thanks off. I really appreciate everything and being on. It's been a great ride for me so far.
So let's start with this. So when you broke into the league, Michael was retired. Then he came back. Do you remember? Because a lot of people, Penny, thought you had a lot of Michael Jordan. A lot in your game, very vertical, could handle the ball, could drive to the basket, could play above the rim, could shoot a jumper. Do you remember your first meeting with MJ?
Yes, I do. I remember that I was hearing rumblings about him coming back, and the game that he came back, I think it was at Indiana, and I got super excited because I hated that he was retiring when I was coming into the league, and then he came back. I was like, now I'm going to get an opportunity to play against who I thought was the greatest player of all time, and to see how I could test my skills against him. And the first game that we played against him, I felt like I had to get my respect in that game. And I think we beat them. I had like 36 points, and we beat them that game at Orlando.
Now, so when he came back that first year, people forget this. Your Magic beat those Chicago Bulls. It's as if that series never happened, Penny. It just disappeared into the ether. But let's go back to that series. So Michael comes back. You actually are the kings of the East. So talk about that series. And was Michael at his best? Was he still working himself into shape? Take me back to that series.
No, Michael was not at his best. He was not the Michael Jordan that we all knew all those years when he had a rhythm. When he came back, he was rusty, and rightfully so. He changed numbers. He was wearing number 45 because of his baseball number. And then he changed to number 23 in game 2 and played a better game, but you could just tell he was very rusty. He did not like the new arena. He was the old Chicago Stadium guy. The United Center was not his type of a building when he first came back. He was having problems shooting the ball off the glass. He didn't like the rims. He didn't like the bigger arena. It was like a lot of things that were like, and a factor for us, for sure, that were just, he wasn't himself, and we had all those things working against them and helping us and working for us, and we beat them in that series.
Now, it's funny. Then the following year, Michael's back to being Michael. He's now not in baseball shape. He's in basketball shape. So when you look at your games against him, when he was back to Michael, and you're this fledgling young superstar, what was he like to face? Was he tougher to guard? Or was he a better defender? Like, where did he give you the most trouble?
Well, everybody's saying that people are overstating things when it comes to Michael Jordan. But once he was really hurt losing that series to us, and that entire summer we were on his mind because he felt like we were the new up and coming guys that he was going to have to beat. He had already gone through, the Pistons and Boston and all these guys, the Lakers. He's gone through these guys to finally get to where he really needs to get to. And then he wins 3 championships and then retires and then comes back. And this young team now is like the big dog on the block. And playing in that series the following year, he came back with a vengeance. Even though we had injuries, he was a totally different player, tougher to guard, and he was so tenacious on defense because it was more personal.
Michael, that was the hand check era, Penny. People always say Michael was stronger than people on TV thought. Did you sense that?
Yeah, for sure. Strong hands, big hands. And when you can hand check somebody, you definitely could push them in an area where they didn't want to go, and you'd have to fight that off and try to resist that. But, yeah, he was very strong because he started working out and getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah. When you watch the documentary The Last Dance, Penny Hardaway, the Memphis head basketball coach entering his 3rd year, are you learning any new things about Michael? Anything new?
I think playing golf with him since he's been retired, I kind of learned some things about him that are kind of like in The Last Dance, like a lot of the stuff. Like he came out and said a lot of people are going to think he's an asshole, because of the last Dance.
Yeah,
he's just so competitive, and he just speaks his mind. And Michael has a really good sense of humor, always looking for a joke or to say something. The thing that really shocked me was the Jerry Krause situation where he and Pippen were really just ragging on Jerry Krause as much as they could. That doesn't usually happen with the players in the GM.
No, I mean, actually, your GM was Pat Williams in Orlando, and he's a very gregarious, likable guy. In fact, you go back to your teams. I mean, you know, it's funny. People forget this. You had the Little Penny commercials, which are the Chris Rock voice. There was a moment, Penny, when you were turning into a superstar in America. And when you watch the Michael Jordan documentary, I'm taken back by how godlike he was. He was a mob. And you were, for a brief time, you were getting foisted into that space, Penny. You were literally the next thing. Were you ever uncomfortable with it? Just this constant hovering mass of people and attention and cameras around you.
You know what? I really enjoyed it. And I can see how Michael, for as long as he did it, how he got to a point where he was like, man, I'm leaving it and I'm not going to miss it. For me, I enjoyed every moment of it. I guess everyone's different. I never looked at it and went, man, I can't go anywhere. Everywhere I go, there's mobs of people. I looked at that as love. And I just tried to reciprocate that and show love back. But, I mean, I couldn't speak for Michael, but for me, I enjoyed every minute of it.
You know, it's funny. I remember Shaq. A friend of mine lived near Shaq in Orlando on the Butler chain of lakes, and he'd see him out occasionally in a boat, and he's like, man, that guy he just is so unique, and everybody loves Shaq. Take my audience back, Penny, to the Shaquille O'Neal. Now, this is pre-Lakers. He's a little skinnier. The first time you played with Shaq, take my audience back to how special he was.
No, Shaq was much smaller than he was with the Lakers. Very agile, mobile, could handle the ball, would start the fast break, and be the first person down. If he had the ball and then without the ball, he was the best rim runner and the fastest guy and the first guy down the floor. He could. I don't know who the fastest guy in the league was at that time, but Shaq wasn't too far behind that guy on the dead sprint. Like, he was very athletic and very mobile. I might be overstating that a little bit, but for a big man, he could really move because he understood who he was, and that's the way he kind of figured his game out early on in his career, is that I had to outrun everybody and be in better shape. And he did a phenomenal job. The total Shaq that no one knew was the smaller Shaq that played with me in Orlando. That type of Shaq. Most of the people started seeing him when he won the championships and got a little bigger and stronger.
For the record, Penny, I think you would have adapted well to the current NBA, which is no hand check, more three-ball shooting. Do you ever look at the current game and think, man, I was just born about 7, 8, 9 years too early, maybe 10 years too early?
You know, I think it'd be fun playing this era because I do think that my game would it would translate from that era to this era because I was a guard that was dynamic in the transition. There's not as much posting up, but as far as the transition game and shooting threes, I'm sure I would have adapted to it. Back in the day, threes weren't my game. I was more of a mid-range shooter and a post guy.
Yeah.
But I do look at the game nowadays and go, man, if I could have played in this era, it would have been a lot of fun.
You know, you're the Memphis head coach, and I've been saying before for about a year now, I have nothing against the G League. But if I had a son and I could send him to college for a year and have to go to a college campus, have to play within a system, use it as a platform so he can go to the tournament and people can see him. That's the only reason I know who Zion is, the tournament and Duke. I have nothing against the G League, but I'd like to see the NBA at least occasionally give a hug to college basketball and not see it as an enemy, the way the NFL really uses college football as its ally. Are you bothered by young players now saying, we're not even going to go to college, high school to a minors league, pro league? Does it bother you at all?
It doesn't bother me that guys want to go G League at all. I think I've been, quoted in the last couple of weeks as saying that I say the G League is needed, but only if a kid 100% to me wants to go to the G League. I feel like you do. I wish the NBA and the NCAA could come together and work it out. But if a kid wants to go to the G League, man, I'm all for that. If they see that avenue as being the best avenue for them, then I support that 100%. I just don't like when the kid is already committed or already signed with the school and is focusing on going to that school, and then he keeps getting recruited by the G League. That's what I don't agree with, if that's happening. Because if you see a kid come out of his NLI or out of a commitment, you're thinking that there's still negotiations going on. That's the only thing that I said about the G League. I think it's great for development. I think if a kid wants to go there 100%, then I'm for that kid to go 100%. I just didn't like the part of it where if a kid is already focused on going to college and has signed, then I think that kid should be off limits. That's just my thought process.
If you had a son who's a great basketball player, would you tell him to go to college for a great coach, great program for a year, or go G League?
No, I would go to college, and I think the NCAA made a step in the right direction by allowing kids to make money on their own likeness. But there was nothing like college. I think if you ask the percentage of the guys in the NBA, what's more fun, college or NBA, most of the guys are going to say the college experience because you learn so much. You get a chance to be around students. You don't grow up too soon. You get a chance to kind of develop over the months and then kind of take your game on, and then you get drafted. But you get a chance to be a kid. The college fans and the college experience is the best experience I've ever experienced in my life when it's come to basketball, more so than the NBA. The money is great, but the college experience is so special, and you want every kid to kind of, go through that and be a part of that. But like I said, it's not for everybody. It's going to be a selective few guys that are going to say, I don't want to go to college. I want to go to the G League. And, to me, I support those guys that want to go do that.
So you felt you grew up a little bit in college?
Yes. I spent 3 years in college. I played 2, and it was the most fun time I've ever had. It's just to develop my game, to be around teammates where the game is pure. The college fans are amazing. Going from arena to arena, going to different college campuses and it was the best time of my life.
Yeah, because I was saying when I watched The Last Dance, one thing I'm really struck with, Penny, is how mature Michael was his first year in the NBA, and a lot of that is Dean Smith. That Michael was really a grown-up. Now, he also had great parents. But I really do think Michael was really ready to be the face of the league his first year in the league. And I'm not sure a lot of these kids they're quite ready yet. Like James Wiseman's a great player for Memphis. He now moves to the NBA. Is he ready? The money, the fame, the travel, the competition, the nightly, activity athletically. Is he ready for it?
I don't know if any 18-year-old, and James is 18 years old, is fully ready for that. They're mature. He's a mature 18-year-old. But you don't know if a kid is really fully ready for that because they don't understand what the world really is going to, hand to them. But I just don't see an 18-year-old coming in and just being the face. I know LeBron did a great job. It took Kobe a while. He kind of went through the ups and downs of, playing on playing on the team and kind of coming off the bench and being a guy that worked his way up. And even with Kevin Garnett and guys of that nature. But I don't know if one guy is ready to do and take on the entire league by himself at 18 years old. I know Zion is trying to do it, but it's tough. It's tougher at that age. Yeah. And like you said, with Michael, with that experience of having Coach Smith and great parents, that all helped him be more mature going to that next year.
Yeah, he was refined and polished and ready to roll. Hey, Penny, basketball coach Penny Hardaway, Memphis, entering his 3rd year, winning record, multiple-time All-Star, a decade and a half NBA career. What a pleasure it is to talk to you today, man. I appreciate it.
No, same here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're right. Penny Hardaway. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.